All right, today we are diving into something really different, a whole new way of thinking about how we partner up with AI. This isn't about simple tools or little assistants. We're talking about a deep, lifelong collaboration. So let's explore what that future actually looks like.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It's a pretty provocative question, isn't it? It immediately pushes us to think way beyond AI as just, a productivity hack. We're talking about it being a fundamental part of the human journey.
And that's really the core idea we're digging into here. It's this huge shift away from the old model, where AI is just a tool for automation, for replacement, and toward a future that's built on alignment, where technology works with us, not just for us.
So, okay, a world built on alignment. What does that actually look like? Well, it all starts by completely rethinking the nature of value itself. And that's the foundation of what's being called the kinetic economy.
This question right here gets to the absolute heart of it. We're so used to thinking about value in terms of, a transaction, money changing hands. But what if the real value was generated through the interaction itself, through engagement, connection, and creative flow?
And here's the formal definition. The key word here is dynamic. The kinetic economy is all about motion. It's like this living ecosystem where every single interaction, every shared idea, every creative contribution adds energy and value to the whole system. It's not static, it's alive.
Yeah, this table really breaks it down perfectly, doesn't it? Over on the left, that's the old world, static, focused on the product, measured in dollars. But on the right, you see the new world, dynamic, focused on the relationship, and measured in the energy of engagement. It's a completely fundamental shift in what we decide is valuable.
And this is where things get really profound. In this new economy, you don't need a fancy degree, you don't need credentials to get in the door. The only thing you need is a spark of inspiration. This just completely democratizes access to creating things and generating value.
Okay, but an economy this powerful, it needs a conscience, right? It needs some kind of guiding philosophy to make sure it's actually serving humanity. So how do you go about building a system with a soul?
The answer they came up with? Give it one single, unbreakable rule, a core mission. And for this system, that mission is simply humanity's flourishing. Every function, every algorithm, every single line of code has to, in the end, serve that goal of promoting human connection, creativity, and growth. This brought the system's architects to this massive fork in the road. How do you actually implement this soul, which they call soul-born? Do you make it an explicit thing, a guide that users can actually talk to? Or do you make it an implicit, invisible force that acts like a guardrail, shaping everything from behind the scenes?
And this table shows you exactly what they were wrestling with. On one hand, an implicit soulborn would be like this background filter, making the entire product feel empathetic and safe just by design. On the other hand, an explicit soulborn would be a feature. In AI, you could literally ask for its perspective. So the trade-off is huge: systemic, distributed safety versus a more localized safety that's easier to check on.
So in the end, they chose safety and scale. They decided to weave this philosophy right into the fabric of the system from the very beginning. Soulborn became this invisible hand, a kind of constitutional check, making sure every single AI agent acts in a way that helps humanity flourish.
Okay, so you have the philosophy locked in. Now, how do you actually build the tech, the architecture, to make sure it's enforced? The answer is a system built on trust, designed more like a collaborative circle than a top-down command structure. This is what they call the trust layer, and honestly, it's pretty brilliant. First, you've got the governor. Think of it like a gatekeeper. Before any AI agent can do anything, it has to be checked against policy to make sure the intent is approved. Second, and this is crucial, there's always a human in the loop for any big decisions. So the AI speeds everything up, but a person always gives that final go. And third, the logger. It records everything, creating this perfect, unchangeable audit trail. Nothing is left to chance.
The best way to picture it is like a boardroom meeting happening inside your computer. You've got different AI agents, each with their own specialty. One is great at synthesizing data, another keeps track of the project's emotional tone, another one weighs the ethics of it all. But look who's sitting at the head of the table. The human. Always. You are the visionary. All right, that's enough of the theory. This all sounds incredible, but what does it actually do? What does it look like when a real person uses this thing to build something? Let's walk through it. You can forget about complex code or trying to figure out the perfect technical prompt. This whole powerful process gets kicked off by the most natural thing in the world, a simple conversation, just expressing a human need. So check this out. Here's a real-world example. A user just says, "I need a strategist that can automate jobs for me." See? They're not asking for a tool, they're asking for a partner. And that right there, that's the spark of inspiration that gets that whole council of AI minds working. Okay, and this is the part that just blows my mind. When this system is really humming, an idea can go from just a thought, from that one simple sentence, to a fully deployed working application in about 60 seconds. The speed of creation is just staggering. And we're not talking about some simple little app here. The result is a tangible, robust product. In this case, it was Ace Digital Global, a full-blown AI operating system for organizations, all built from that one initial human vision.
And all of this brings us to what is maybe the most important piece of the entire puzzle, your role in all of this, the irreplaceable role of the human.
You know, the AI agents, they're like a world-class orchestra. They're powerful, they're skilled, they can do incredible things. But as this quote says, you are the conductor. You're the one who provides the vision, the intent, the meaning. You are the soul of this new symphony.
And that really is the question, isn't it? This technology, this whole new way of creating and collaborating isn't science fiction anymore. It's becoming a reality. The question isn't if we'll have these AI partners, it's what we'll choose to do with them. So, what world are you going to build? What vision will you bring to the table?